a 1971 Triumph TR6.
It's a decent paint job, it's okay. Nice seats, nice interior, nice green carpet, I like that. Good looking old car, innit? It's had what it's had, door skins and a full house.
Does it have the necessary ingredients for us to take on as a restoration?
Well, no, because there's nothing to do, is there? No, complete waste of time buying this. I can't see any point in it whatsoever. I really can't. That's what it's at.
So if we did go against your well-thought advice and bought it, what would we have to buy it for?
10 grand. Probably a little bit more. It's a well-got-out old lot. That's what we would say in the trade. It's a well-got-out old lot. I bet you buy the bloody rotten thing. I bet I'll be driving this bloody thing up the road. You wait and see. I bet I will.
Let's hope so. If we can get it for a good price, we think it's definitely worth a punt.
Lot number 111 is the Triumph TR6. There you are. Where we're going to be then? Who's going to start me at £10,500 internet bid? 10,750 with Andy at 10,750. £11,000 says Jack. £11,000. 11,000 and a quarter here. 11,250.
Jack's on the phone with this one.
£11,250. 11,005. 11,005. Jack's bidder 11,550 there. 11,750. The Bangers and Cash team 11,750. 11,750 with Andy. I'm going to put it on sale. £11,750. You might be in. 11,750. 11,750. Bangers and Cash team.
I don't think we can go wrong with that, you know.
Well done, lads. Well done.
We've heard that before. We did have to up our bid to 12 grand to secure the car, but we're confident Katie Trussell and Roger Taylor at The Motorist near Leeds will give it a good check over.
Well, that's familiar.
Why is it familiar?
I've got one.
So we've brought it to the right place.
Yeah, I know all the nightmares you have with them.
Right.
I'm happy with that.
Are you?
Yeah.
Pleasantly surprised.
For once.
For once, yeah, I've not had to sweep it out at the back of your trailer.
Roger, you drove OK into the workshop?
Yeah, just across the yard, everything seemed all right, but obviously we need to put some mileage on it and see what it's like then. We need to get it warm and make sure that the oil pressure stays where it is and doesn't drop off the bottom of the scale.
Dropping off the bottom of the scale, they were prone to leaks?
Well, I think anything British Leyland were prone to leaks.
Triumph was owned by British Leyland, and by the end of the 1960s, they were in a bit of bother. When staff weren't on strike, morale was low, and build quality suffered.
That's probably the worst bit I've seen so far. What do you think, Katie?
So it's tighter up here, and my fingers go in the gap down here.
But it's got a lovely gap down this side. You know, we're a little bit there. Someone's rebuilt this at some point. You've got a good line there, that looks pretty even, and these don't look too bad at the back. You know, some of the vehicles were literally thrown together. So obviously this is built a damn sight better than what it would have been when it left factory.
It's had all new brake lines at some point.
Looks like he's had metering unit but that'll have been rebuilt.
New alternator.
So everything looks pretty good under here.
Some cars don't get driven at all. Some cars are just show cars and everything's shiny but they never drive it. But it's nice to see a car that has been modified to make the driving experience better. It's nice to know that someone's actually been using it.
Now to check whether we have the 125 or more desirable 150 brake horsepower.
So this one is, now that I've wiped a bit of oil off it, it's CP. So everything's looking good.
It's what?
CP.
So that means
that means it's an early one, so it's a 150 horsepower one. What does it say on for engine number?
CP51.
So we've got CP 545. 11 HES.
No.
Yeah, so it's obviously had a different blocking at some point.
Why would it have had that in?
Someone's probably blown it up at some point in its life.
This engine is a correct engine, but not the correct engine.
It's not the engine the car was supplied with according to that heritage certificate, but it's the correct engine for a TR6.
And if our TR6 is to be driven and enjoyed, that's all that matters to us.
little leaks everywhere.
You said little leaks everywhere, Kitty. Like, that's quite an important thing.
Probably just double check all the nuts and bolts are tight, give it a clean off, and when we run it up again, then we'll be able to see where it's coming from.
But it's a British car and a lot of them did leak.
Yeah, if you don't have a puddle under your car, it doesn't have oil in it, so.
You know, stuff used to leak the minute it left the factory.
The best way to make sure none of these leaks are serious is to put the engine under some pressure and take the Triumph on a spirited test drive.
It's a great car. I've enjoyed driving it. You've had it all on to prize me off the runway, really. I mean, it'd be nice if a runway had corners, but it wouldn't be nice for the pilots, would it?
So you wouldn't have any problem driving this to Scotland and back and down to?
No, I mean, it does have a couple of little issues with it.
Such as?
Temperature gauge doesn't work, so we don't know how hot it's getting. And also the fuel gauge doesn't work. When you go to accelerate from idle, she's a little bit hesitant, but then again, it probably wants a new set of spark plugs in it. It might just want the throttles balancing a bit because it did spit back a couple of times out there.
A few little gremlins, but nothing more than...
A few little gremlins. The overdrive works, the gear change is good, you know, steering's nice and precise. It feels absolutely planted on the road. It pulls like a train, which they should do. What more could you want?
Not far from Leeds, in Sherburn-in-Elmet, our near-perfect TR6 is having a well-deserved service.
When a car's getting towards the time it needs a service, you know, performance and fuel economy does suffer. It's not as noticeable in a modern car, but in the classic cars where the engine, it doesn't have an engine management system, so it can't constantly adjust itself to run at its optimum. That's when you're going to start to notice things where, like, you know, it's not quite performing as well, or it's drinking a lot more fuel than it did before.
So today, amongst other things, Roger and Katie will be changing the oil.
Ah, yeah, that'll do.
And cleaning the air filters.
Do you know what I do with mine? I clean them out on a Sunday, after Sunday dinner.
And then, you don't put them in the oven, do you?
And then when oven's still warm, I sit them in oven. They're dry in 20 minutes.
Yeah, just oil. It helps the dust and stuff stick to the filter.
Next up, balancing the throttles.
Sounds better without the air filters on, doesn't it? Less woolly. So this device is telling me how much air's been drawn through the throttle, into the manifold. So we're just about 3 there. Well, we're looking for them to be all about even. This one here is just slightly over 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it off and go and get some spanners and slacken off this little link rod here, and without burning my fingers try and just open them up a little bit more.
Over the next hour or so, Roger fine-tunes the throttles, aiming to enhance the overall engine performance.
So we're off the scale there, so we're bringing it back in.
This includes boosting horsepower and torque, improving fuel efficiency and throttle response, which all help to extend the engine's lifespan.
You can hear them all sucking. The ones that are drawing more air, the note's different to the ones that aren't. It's just a piece of hose. It's very, very technical. But it works. That's better. They're all just around 3, just over 3, which is what? Happy with that? Right, let's get it switched off, get the air filters back on, and then that's more or less it, put it to bed. But doesn't that sound different now? It sounded good before, but that's made a hell of a difference.
It sounds lovely. Absolutely lovely. Whoever ends up getting it has got a very, very good car.
Whether you use it as it is or you put your own spin on it, you take it right bang, slap bang up to date with all the newfangled stuff you can get for it, or you just run it with the nostalgia of the past with what it's got, whoever buys it's going to enjoy it, you know, and I hope they get as much fun out of it as I've had out of mine.
And to show exactly how much fun you can have, we've travelled south to Castle Combe in the heart of the Cotswolds. Where it's Triumph track day on the local race circuit. We're with classic car enthusiast Julia Penfold and her TR6.
The colour. Yeah. Did you buy it in that colour?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, magenta, it's the original colour of the car. It was my husband who said, oh, I've always wanted a Triumph, a TR6. And I said, I can't have that. I cannot have a purple car. But it grew on me pretty quickly, and as you can see now, I'm kind of become a bit of a purple person. It's a great combination of a classic, but that's really drivable and really good fun. And it's quite powerful, it's quick enough in modern traffic, you know, but actually it still feels like a classic car.
The TR6 is the best of the TRs for the simple reason that you don't need a radio, just listen to the sound of the beautiful straight six burbling out the exhaust and enjoy the British countryside and a car that you really properly have to grab hold of and properly drive.
I think James May said it didn't need the blokiest bloke sports car there is, so yeah, it's fantastic.
It's kept something like clean, but we do trips of 2,500 miles. September last year we did the whole of Switzerland, 15 mountain passes in sun and snow and everything. Yeah, cracking. And we just love it,
It's very personal to you, I think, rather than just a generic car you can go and buy. They're very, they're just very unique and really special.
They're really lovely to drive. When you've got them set up well, they go like the clappers.
We're hoping our TR6 will be racing back to auction very soon. Our Triumph is now back at Mathewson's, looking like an absolute winner. There wasn't much to do, but every penny counts. The original purchase price, including tax and commission, was £13,080. Parts and materials were £147. And labour cost us another £672, bringing our total spend to a triumphant £13,899.
I like these, they're nice, aren't they? Mainly, I think, because of that, what's underneath there, really. 6 cylinders has a tone all to itself, and it's got a nice exhaust as well. So put the two together, and when she's on the road, she'll sound fit. She'll sound nice. MX-5 seats, I think, from memory. They fit as if Triumph put them in, don't they? I mean, they really do fit well. They're a really nice upgrade. And I would keep it on steel wheels if it was mine, personally. A lot went onto wires. I think steel is just... I think they suit steel. But no, nice little car, that. That'll sell well.
And on to lot number 280, Triumph TR6. Here we are, look. We've got 14,500 here with me.
14,500?
14,000, 15,000.
I'm not very good at maths.
No, you're not. We are in profit.
With me, so I've picked that one there. So we've got £15,000 bid here with me. 16,000, says Alan. At 16,500, Alan, he's with you all the way. At 16,500. 17.
Oh,
at
17,
brilliant.
17,500. 17,500, Alan. At £17,500. 18,000. £18,000. 18,000 for the first. 18,001. 18,100. 18,200. 18,200, says Alan. 18,200 for the third and last time. Well done, Alan. Well done.
Well done.
Profit doesn't often happen, but it's nice when it does. The TR6 soon headed off to its new home in Nottinghamshire.